Good morning or afternoon, everybody. This is Brian Ankney with Auto Success Magazine. Today's webinar, we are going to give you a sneak preview to what you will learn at the 30 Sales a Month event that's coming up here in Cleveland, Ohio this week on the 14th. My guest today is Frantastic Fran Taylor. Fran, are you with us?
Yes, I am.
Fantastic. Well, everybody, I appreciate you taking the time out of your day to join us today. We're going to keep this short and sweet. We're just going to give you a couple of things you can take away from this webinar today to improve your business, and it's just kind of a taste of what you'd learn if you actually attend the event. A couple of things I want to clear up before we get started is we're going to hold all questions to the end of the presentation. And so at the end of the presentation, you can enter them at any time. At any time during the presentation, you're welcome to type in questions into the question function. It's on the right side of your screen. If you click the plus right next to questions, it'll open up, and you can type in a question. And I'll ask all the questions to Fran at the end of the webinar. Our first guest, and actually our main guest at the event coming up this week is Fran Taylor. Fran, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you're going to show everybody what they'll learn at the event this week.
All right. Thanks, everybody, for listening in. This is real easy. To sell 30 cars a month, to me, is nothing. And the reason why people aren't selling 30 cars a month is they don't know how. So that's a whole purpose of the workshops I have around the United States, is to show you just how easy it is to sell 30 cars a month. And you got to get away from the people who tell you you can't do it. I was told I'd never make it from day one. Well, guess what? I was salesman a month. The very first month, I think my worst month was 23, and then I ended up selling 30, 40, 50 cars a month. And it only took me 2 years to get to 50. Probably one of the biggest things I can share with you is you have to go looking for knowledge. Sooner or later, you got to cross that barrier and saying, it's there, I can do it, I just don't know how, so I'm going to go look, find out how to do it. And what I'm talking about here is not just selling 30 cars a month, but having a richer, fuller, and happier life, not just with you, with your family. So one of the first things we talk about in the workshop is goal setting. And you're not going anywhere without them. And you got to remember, when you write these goals down, it's in my book on page 7, people are going to laugh at you. Anybody that's successful will always take time to help somebody that wants to be successful if they become a student. What I mean by that is, if you find somebody doing better in stocks, real estate, selling cars, that's the person you want to listen to, and that's the people that I have at these workshops. I mean, some of these salespeople are selling 40 cars a month. They work 40 hours a week. I have another guy speaking. He moved to a strange town, and he sold 30 cars his third month in the business, and he said it best. He said, once you learn this, I can go anywhere in the world and sell 30 cars a month. You know, we have other people that make $15,000 in 2 weeks selling cars. So people think advice doesn't cost you anything. It does if it's bad advice. So I'll share with you and the other speakers as well is what not to do, excuse me, when you get in the car business. We're going to share the how-to, like here's how to sell a car a day. This is what you do, and here's how to do it. So the other thing is, I went to a lot of training when I was selling cars. I made sure that the trainer was doing good or did good so I can learn something. And the biggest thing is when you go back to the dealership, just put it into practice. It's not that hard. If you think things are hard, it is hard. To me, it wasn't hard making 60, 80 phone calls a day. The reason most people don't make those phone calls is because they don't know who to call or they don't have people to call. We're going to share that and a whole lot more in these workshops.
All right. Fran, I'd like you to share a little bit of information. One of our other speakers that's going to be there, and actually will be in her hometown of Cleveland, Ohio, is Tiffany Cruiser. Tiffany has spoken at several of our events. She does a wonderful job. I can tell you in 15 years of emceeing events and introducing people, Tiffany is the only speaker I've ever introduced that spoke with her shoes off, with bare feet. We told her to go up there on her very first time speaking and just said, make yourself comfortable. Be comfortable. And that is how she did it. Fran, why don't you share some specifics about what Tiffany Cruiser does that makes her so successful, and give them a little tip of the iceberg of what they'll learn if they attend the event later this week.
Tiffany, she's the queen of cars, I can tell you that. Now, Tiffany didn't need Fran Taylor. She was selling 25 cars before I met her. Now, I mentioned it a little bit earlier about goals. I said, Tiffany, you have to have a reason to make changes. And she said, well, I want to spend more time with my family. Well, who doesn't want to spend more time with their family? The difference between Tiffany and a lot of the other people is she was serious. So, like our meeting, we have a meeting from 7 to 10 o'clock the night before, so you can sit down and talk to all the speakers. And if you sit down and say, Tiffany, how are you working 40 hours a week and sell 40 cars a month? She's going to tell you it's a daily routine. Here's what I do, and here's how I do it. Now, if the goal is a real goal, if that's what you want to do, you'll find a way to get it done. You know, so she wanted to spend more time. So when she's at work, she just changed a couple things from mailers to phone calls to getting real serious about the steps of the sales. And the next thing you know, gee whiz, she's working 40 hours a week. And how many people sell 40 cars a month doing that? So she's going to share with you exactly what to do. A lot of people come to work and they put the time in, but they don't do anything. I mean, sure, they make a couple phone calls, maybe do a couple mailers, or they may take it up. But she's going to tell you the difference when you put your heart and soul in it. And the main thing that she discovered, and a lot of people do, is it's not really work when you figure it out. Excuse me. To me, it's more fun when you're talking to somebody, when you're doing mailers, especially when you're working with repeat and referrals. It's pretty much what do you want and where you want to be. Tiffany didn't wake up one day to sell 40 cars a month. She worked at it a little bit each day, and it added up, added up, added up. And next thing you know, she comes and goes when she wants. She's the only person I know that sold 10 cars to the last day in December. That's pretty strong. So if you want to learn, you got to find somebody doing real better. Put a little pride in your back pocket like I did. Take plenty of notes. And then when you go back to the dealership, just start doing what they're doing. You have all day to do it. You know, what you don't want to do is be in the dealership 5, 10, 15 years selling 18 cars a month. That's not how it's supposed to be. I personally enjoy leaving early. I like making big money. And I like working with repeats and referrals. To me, that was fun rather than calling it work. Work is when you're making calls to somebody you don't know. Work is calling orphan owners. Work is doing mailers to people hoping it works. There are other techniques that you can do to have people come in to see you. The main thing is you don't want them coming into ABC Motors. You want them to come in and see Fran Taylor at ABC Motors. And Tiffany's an absolute, positive, guaranteed, living proof that anybody can do it anywhere. And I'm honored to have her as one of our featured speakers.
All right. We're going to move on to another one of our featured speakers, Noel Walsh. Noel Walsh actually has one of the most unique lives of any car salesman that I've ever met. He lives on one side of the country, and he sells cars on the other side of the country. He lives in Utah for the first 2 weeks of the month with his family, and then he flies to Michigan and sells cars for 2 weeks. The reason that he's doing this is for a long time, Noel was leasing a lot of cars, and he built up a great customer following. And he decided one day that he didn't want to raise his kids in Michigan, and he wanted them to have more of an outdoor lifestyle, and he wanted them to grow up in Utah. And so he moved his family to Utah, and Noel Walsh, you know, because of sort of the processes that Fran's about to share with you, he was able to work 2 weeks. He spends the first 2 weeks of the month playing with his kids, and then he flies to Michigan for 2 weeks, and he still sells enough cars to make $15,000 a month. Fran, why don't you share a little bit about Noel's processes with everybody?
Well, if you guys know Noel Walsh, he obviously is an outstanding individual. Anybody can make 15 grand in 2 weeks is a superstar in my book, and a lot of others too. Here's the difference between Noel and the others. He built that kind of a following, which he'll share with you, that when your people come in, they'll actually wait 2 weeks until he comes back to buy a car from him. Now, that's the relationship you want to get, and it's quite easy once you figure it out. And he's going to share different techniques like that. I mean, how many people can go in from another state and come back and still sell that kind of cars? I mean, this guy's just a phenomenal salesperson. He just started his own training company not long ago, and there again, Noah's going to share the how-to. And here's what I do to sell X amount of cars and make $15,000 in 2 weeks. You see, that's where a lot of training is missing. They don't tell you the how-to stuff. And this guy started, just like most of us, with nothing. He started cleaning cars, and he moved his way up, got in sales, and he just kept looking for ways to get better and better. And there again, I think you have to be selective where you get your information from, because bad advice does cost you something. I mean, here's a guy, as soon as you talk to him, or as soon as you listen to him, you're going to hear a guy with probably one of the best attitudes anybody can have. But I can tell you this, we all started the same way. You don't wake up with a good attitude one day. You got to work for it, and Noah's living proof that anybody can go anywhere and make big money, and you don't have to work 55, 60 hours a week. So, again, I'm really blessed by having Noah there to share it. And again, he'll be there the night before from 7 to 10 o'clock, so you can come in and sit down and talk to him, and it's almost like interrogate him. When we were in Orlando, there were salespeople there talking to these speakers till 2 o'clock in the morning. So you're going to get the right information. You just got to get there. And I'm honored to have Noah as one of our featured speakers.
You know, everybody's on the line. I appreciate you taking the time and joining us today. And I'd like to share some with you. When I was in the car business, I didn't know what I didn't know, and I never sold 30 cars in a month. And until I met Fran, and until I started seeing the people around the country that he's helped to reach that number, I would have told you it was impossible. But now, I think back, and I wish I would have met Fran 20 years ago when I was selling cars, because it is possible. We had a gentleman named Jerry Peppers who came to an event we had in Chicago last year in March, and Jerry was selling about 17 cars a month. You know, he was living in an apartment with a large family, and you know, he had never been on a vacation in his whole life. So he decides he's going to invest in himself, and he comes to Chicago, learns, sees the speakers, learns, takes notes, you know, interacts with them, exchanges contact information with them, goes home the very next month and sells 32 units and made $34,500. Jerry Peppers now takes a vacation almost every month. His family now has plenty of space. They have things like they've never had before. I mean, honestly, it was one of the most dramatic transformations I've ever seen in a person before in my life, to go from struggling to having way excess of what he ever thought he could do in just 30 days. Jerry Peppers took a chance and he invested in himself. I hope that you guys do the same. If you could, please, now, if you have any questions, please type them into the question thing, and I'm going to go ahead and got a couple of them already here. I'm going to go ahead and ask them. Fran, what's different about your training and work?
Not to interrupt you, but can I talk about Chris Fuqua as well?
Sure, absolutely.
Okay, Chris is another guy. Now, this guy drove to our workshop, different states in Florida, and I helped him get a job. He moved 1,000 miles away. I helped him get him a job in the Carolinas. Now, Chris and I talk regularly, either on chat or on the phone, and I said, okay, here's what you have to do. You see, the difference between Chris and a lot of the other people is he really wanted to make the money. He had the desire, but he didn't have the knowledge. His third month in a strange town, he delivered 30 cars a month. Now, he's another one of our featured speakers. And I talked to him last week, and what a great guy. He said, Fran, once you learn this, I can go anywhere in the world and do it. I mean, and that just really hit me. You know, it's a shame people spend a lot of time in the car business, and they don't teach you how to do big numbers. Most of you know how to sell cars, but what you don't know how to do is get big numbers. And that's what I said. If you knew how to do 30, you would do it. Because once you figure it out, it's like taking candy from a baby. The difference is going back and putting it into practice like some of these other people do. The big advantage you guys will have coming to this workshop is you're going to get the how-to. But think about what I said so far. You know, here's Noah Walsh. He works part-time. He's making a killing. He's real big on leasing. Tiffany works 40 hours a week and sells 40 cars a month. Here's a guy who goes to a strange town, Chris Fuqua. You know, he sells 30 cars a month. Can you imagine getting all those people together and just ask them one question after another? It's impossible not to learn something. But the biggest thing you have to do is you have to have the discipline to go back and do it. You see, There's where those goals come in. If you really want something in life, you can get it. And this is America. If you're not going to get it in America, you're not going to get it anywhere. You got to get away from them crybabies and the thumb suckers that tell you all the excuses in the world. Hey, we're in a small town. The whole dealership only does 110. How can I do 30? That's all garbage. You need to listen to the movers and shakers who tell you you can do it. You see, you don't get many pats on the back on the way up the ladder. And when you do, a lot of them say, oh, we knew you could do it. You're always a bullshitter. Excuse me. But I've been through it. This is real life, down to earth. Here's what to do, and here's how to do it. Now, we also have some other surprise speakers coming there that I don't want to share with you because some of these guys are rocking and rolling. I got another guy coming who already sold 30 cars a month. I said, Ed, why are you coming to 30 sales a month when you already sold 32 cars a month? He said, friend, I never sold 40 or 50 like you did. I want to get to 40 or 50. If you come with that desire, if you come with that urge to learn, I promise you, everybody that comes there is going to learn something that you can go back the very next day and start putting it into effect to make more money.
All right. Well, now I've got a couple of questions here, Fran, to ask. Actually, a couple more just came in. Yeah, this first question is, Fran, what's different about your training and workshops?
Wow. Well, I did it. That's a big example right there. I'm not knocking the other trainers, but there's a difference between living in the woods and visiting the woods. You see, it only took me a little over 2 years. I had 15,000 people working for me. You know, you ask these young people now, how many people you got working for you on Facebook or your birthday system? They tell you 1,000, 2,000 people. Now, you can get by, but gee whiz, I had 15,000 of them. And I'm going to share with you how I did that. See, you know, there's nothing more powerful than prospecting. And I'll prove it to you. Jesus started with 12 people. Look how big that got. So it's not just word of mouth. You have to build a relationship with the people so they want to come back and do business with you. You got to build that relationship when anytime somebody's talking about a car, they say, oh, I'll go see that Fran Taylor guy. He's awesome. But you have to stay in contact with him, and it takes 2 minutes a day, 3 minutes a day. So what's so special about our stuff? It's like the prospecting tools I'm going to talk about. I'll show you how to spend $1 per customer and have your name seen several million times a year. You see, some of the old stuff still works the best. Like everybody talks internet. And you have to use the internet, but if you quit doing that, what happens? You lose or go backwards. So the key is you got to do both. So I teach you how to look for new prospects and take care of the old ones. Also, the goal setting will change your life. I have a sheet in my book, the delivery check sheet. If you use it every time you deliver a car, that sheet alone is worth 10 or 20,000. You see, every time we talk about a topic, the topic is worth anywhere from $3,000 to $5,000 over the course of a year. I mean, $100,000 is nothing if you figure it out. Come on, that's pretty easy. The difference is we're going to show you, here's what to do, here's how to use it, and this is what you'll get. That's what's missing with a lot of training. I mean, not knocking the other trainers, but there's a whole lot more than go get your name out there. Go join all the groups you can. I mean, that's high school stuff. I mean, we're going to show you different techniques that people coming in asking for you. I know what it's like to come in on a Saturday with no appointments. I sold 7 cars, and I spotted 6 out of 7. So I can relate to you as a salesperson or a manager because I was a GM. Okay, so I know what it's like. But the main thing that you're going to get out of that is we're going to throw so much stuff at you that take your pick. I mean, is it a daily routine? Is it prospecting? Is it closing techniques? I mean, or going to a strange town? All the speakers are going to tell you the truth. It's not like somebody standing up there didn't do it and telling you how to sell cars when they only sold 20 themselves. The difference is these are the real people in today's times. They're selling different products, different size towns, and in different states. So these are the real deal. That's what's different about our workshop.
Great. Well, and I've got another one here. It says, can I apply these techniques in any size market and be successful?
Well, absolutely, if you get the right information. Dave Kelly, I worked with him in Lock Haven, Pennsylvania. that whole dealership was doing 45 or 50 cars, new and used combined. I mean, they hunt bear out the back. So I got with Dave, and I said, Dave, here's what you do. So we made a couple conference calls to a couple people that were making bigger money. And as soon as I hung up, he said, I'm in. Well, how can a guy in a small town, 4,500 people, with 4 red lights, deliver 46 cars in 1 month? Well, it's pretty easy. He had the right information, and he worked with it. I worked with another rookie, his first year in Williamsport, Pennsylvania. He sold 400 cars his first year and made $200,000. Again, when I was talking to him, showing him different techniques, what to do, daily routines, steps into sales, couple phone techniques, prospecting. I mean, you got to learn it all. You just can't do one, but you got to give yourself time. He cracks 40 cars a month, twice his first year in the car business. So that's what I said earlier. It's not the size of the town. It's what you do. It's not people who you know. It's people who know you. And that's what this is all about. You know, when you get, you know, he who gets 10 men to do the work of one gets 10 times the return. That's why it's so crucial to get your name out there as much as you can. And you have to invest in yourself. It's simple as that. You know, when I discovered 1 or 2 prospecting tools brought me 1 or 2 sales, to me it was common sense. So guess what? I had 15 of them. So I started every month with 30 sales. Now, which one works the best? I don't know, but I know one thing. You know, if you have prospecting tools, spend a little, make a lot, spend nothing, make nothing. You know, when we have the prospecting tools, one prospecting tool won't make you rich, but many will make you wealthy.
That's great. Fran, we just have a comment here from Timothy. Timothy says he's really looking forward to Thursday, and he's actually going to bring his wife along too. And actually, I got a similar question, Fran, but to the last one. It says, I'm in a small town in Indiana, and I really sell 30 cars a month. You kind of touched on that, but you want to maybe elaborate a little bit more on the small town issue for this person?
Look, people are buying. They're just not buying from you. And to make it real clear, look, I'll give an example how easy it is. Like most salespeople only put the buyer in their birthday system. Me, I put the whole family in my birthday system. You know, if you sell 10 cars a month, it takes you 9.5 years to get 1,000 names in there. If you do it my way and use that delivery check sheet in my book, it takes 1.5 years. I couldn't make it, excuse me, I couldn't make it with 1,000 or 2,000 names. You see, I wanted to have thousands of people to know who I was, and it wasn't all on the internet. I mean, you put a magnet on somebody's refrigerator and you tell them, if you have a problem or concern, you call me. And if you don't have a problem or concern, look at that magnet because it's worth $100. If you program the customers to use your prospecting tool, that's a secret. I see a lot of guys and gals using prospecting tools, but they don't program the customer to use them. So there are tips and techniques that you can use that they see your name 30, 40, 50 times a day. Now, if you take that number times 250 people or 500 people, that's a pretty big number, you think. Well, actually, it's a small number because if you take that number times 365 days, now we're talking millions, and that's what I'm talking about. So it doesn't matter if you're in a small town or a big town. You just got to do the right things, and you have to have patience with it. Because when I started, it didn't happen. I mean, I sold 30 cars in a year, but I was working myself to death. But after a while, when this prospecting and some of the other techniques kicked in, man, I had to work less hours, and I was just killing it. So that's the information you need. So it doesn't matter if it's a small town or a big town. It doesn't matter. It's your choice. You know, if you come to work every day and you have prospecting tools working for you, it's like that day I sold 7 cars. I didn't have one appointment, but I knew I was going to sell somebody a car because I had so much working for me. If you don't get that information, you can be like some of those other guys and gals, 10, 15 years in the business, selling 18, 20 cars a month. And don't misunderstand me, that you can make a decent living, but my goal sure as heck is not to be at a dealership 50 weeks a year, working 50 hours a week until I'm 60. Not this kid. And that's what's going to happen if you don't get the right information. So small town don't have nothing to do with it.
All right. Well, that's our last question, Fran. Everybody on the call, I'd like to thank you, and I really appreciate you taking the time out today to come and get a sneak peek of what you're going to learn on the 14th in Cleveland. If you're considering going and you haven't decided yet, hopefully we've given you the information that'll make you make the decision to invest in yourself, invest in your family, and invest in your future. It's a little bit of money and it's a little bit of time, but it's going to change your life for the rest of your life. You're welcome to call Fran, call myself, call Jerry Peppers if you want to, and they'll share with you, how it's changed their lives. If anybody would like a recording of this, shoot me an email. It's brian@autosuccessonline.com. Also, if you haven't yet, join Auto Success Webinars on Facebook, and also join 30 Sales a Month on Facebook. Both places you'll find great information on how to improve your business, but most importantly, take the time to join us on the 14th in Cleveland. Fran, is there anything else you'd like to share with our audience before we let them go?
Sure. I've had a lot of people asking me about our training stuff. My recommendation is start with our sales training book. I go through all the stuff we talked about a lot, and that's at www.frantaylor.net. Just get started with it, and if you have any questions, you call me here at the office. I'll walk you through it. I'll help you with that. And the main thing is, when you guys come to this workshop, bring a pencil and paper and ask a lot of questions. If you come to me, if you have a certain issue or something you want to talk about, I will personally help you, or I will steer you to one of the speakers that will take the time to help you. See, it's a workshop. We're going to work there. I want to give you all the information you need that you can go back the very next day and put it into effect. So look forward to see you guys there. And same thing, if you have any questions, you just give me a call. I'll be happy to help you.
All right, everybody. Well, thank you for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you on the 14th.